YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Really excited about today's video, going over rookies that will shock the NFL this season. Will be way better than expected. Talk about a few extra guys at the end, including some undrafted rookies that could shock the world. Really excited to announce our new partnership with the Gold Shop. You may have realized that I'm wearing a Rams chain. That is the case. I got the defending Super Bowl champs here. Had to rock them first. The Gold Shop hooked us up with some NFL teams. They have pendants for every NFL team. Some teams even have helmet pendants as well. Real gold, affordable jewelry. They have more than just NFL teams here. They have all these different options and chains, but very affordable too as it is. And then I'm hooking you up, you see underneath me, with that GOAT code, which is 33% off. Link in the description comments for anything you need. I could definitely see myself getting addicted to these things because you have so many different cool options. But shout out to the Gold Shop for hooking us up here. Appreciate it. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on here on the channel. Full NFL coverage. Follow us on Twitter. And here's our Twitter. A lot of NFL news, roster moves going on right now. Probably as I'm talking. I'm probably missing stuff right now. Jimmy Garoppolo news. That was kind of the big news of the day. Laviska Shenault trade. Crazy. We got you covered on our Twitter. I got 10 rookies that'll put the world on notice here. But then I got to talk about some extra guys as well. I never just keep it at 10. You know how I do it. ROMEO DOUBS, got to go with DOUBS with the Packers. He's been tearing it up in training camp preseason. Such a good fit. We've been talking about it for some time. Such a good fit with not really the Packers. I mean, the Packers, but Aaron Rodgers, man. He fits Aaron Rodgers' ball so well. You see him at Nevada. He was a deep ball specialist, red zone specialist, tracks the ball well. Great hands. I already could see it. Rodgers with his deep ball, rolling out right, on the run, rolling out wherever, on the run, and just bombs at the Dubs. I can see it. I could see it when they drafted him. So this guy's going to be special. I think we're starting to expect that he might be, I don't know if anyone's expecting him to be the one of the very best rookie receivers, but not far off. But not only that, I think he could be the top Packers receiver. I'm not saying I'm predicting it for sure, locking it in because Lazard's pretty solid as well. They had a second-round pick, Christian Watson, but Dubs, I could see it. He could be the Packers' top guy. Such a good fit day one. Really looking forward to watching him with Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be a perfect fit. We already know it. Next up, let's talk about Isaiah Likely, another one that I think people are realizing. When the Ravens took him, we talked about how good of a fit he was because he's such a unique tight end. The Ravens, they like tight ends. They like unique players at the same time, athletic players here. He's almost, they line him up in the backfield. He can lead block. They can get him the ball in gadget ways. They can get him the ball, Coastal Carolina, that is, and the Ravens. They get him the ball, as a traditional tight end, but he would line up as a receiver a lot, and he was a problem for opposing defense. It's just a mismatch problem, and we saw that in the preseason. The combination of his athleticism and his physicality, his great hands, contested catch ability. He's just such a perfect fit for the Ravens. He's gonna do some damage because they're going to use their tight ends. It's not just Mark Andrews out there. They're going to use likely in different ways. They don't have too many receiver options as of right now. That helps Likely because he's basically a big slot receiver. He can do more than that, but at times, and we saw that in the preseason. He just tore it up every step of the way in preseason. There was a game in week 2. He was getting all the reps down the field. He was getting all the yards, and he was gassed like anybody would be. And he came out for a play. They run one play. He puts himself. If you watch this, he puts himself back in. It looks like he kind of took control, like he was a veteran. Like he's a veteran. Like I'm the guy here. Get me the ball. That's kind of what it felt like. I love that. I absolutely love that. Likely is going to tear it up this season, and I can't wait to watch it. He's going to be, he could be one of the better rookie tight ends, really. Could be the best one. It really could. And he's going to feel like a receiver at times, too. So I just cannot wait to watch him. Another one that is going to shock the world. I think people expect like the top-tier picks to shock the world, but some of these guys are coming. They're going to be just as good as those guys. I'm going to go Danny Gray as well, who I liked a lot out of SMU. He kind of reminded me a little bit of like an Antonio Brown, who was kind of a smaller school guy as well, coming from Central Michigan. He had Danny Gray of SMU, just electrifying deep ball, really good after the catch. Really good after the catch because his vision and his electrifying speed. Like he just knew where to go, eyes in the back of his head, and then he just took off. Was a big problem. Has that, that deep ball threat, or that deep threat, obviously. And the 49ers, it's, they got Debo. who's a different type of receiver than anybody. And they have Ayuk, who is a little inconsistent, so they're going to need somebody to step up. And they have Jennings, who's all right, but they need somebody to step up, somebody that you can trust to be consistent, to get the ball anywhere on the field. So that's why I think Gray. And we saw some good things in preseason right off the bat, too. And then training camp, they had a joint practice with the Vikings a couple weeks ago. It was last week, maybe. Heard really good things, like from the Viking staff as well. They're almost saying like they didn't really know what to put on him at times, and that's just great to hear for a guy like Danny Gray. So I was a big fan of him, pre-draft process, bigger fan now. He could be another sneaky good receiver, maybe in the conversation of those guys that are obviously going to be good receivers, rookie receivers right away. Next up, talk about some running backs. Dameon Pierce, who just keeps on riding. He's kind of already put the world on notice. People are noticing him, especially fantasy-wise, and that's great. But I think, he's just by far their best back, and he hits the hole so damn fast. And you could see when you watch him at Florida that he was legit, but he didn't get a whole lot of carries. Sometimes it was tough to tell, but you see him playing in the NFL offense, and that's my favorite thing. If you can see and hit the hole very quick, that's the most important thing to me, and he's got it. And he's got the after, the line of scrimmage as well, like where he can make people miss, he can run people over, he's really quick. I feel like he's getting faster, stronger, all of the above, just getting better in general. The Texans do want to run the ball a bit. They have a collection of running backs, but this is by far the best guy. Like, he could end up being the most productive rookie running back, and I know people are starting to notice Pierce, but maybe we don't talk about him in that sense. Maybe we should start talking about him. So I'm really excited for Dameon Pierce. Since he didn't have much action, much film to go off of, in college, if you go back and watch the Georgia game, which is not allowed to go off of on that game because he had like 9 or so carries, but that was, in my opinion, that Georgia Bulldogs defense was the best in college football history. If you don't agree, you got to agree that they're at least close. And Dameon Pierce, they'll remember Pierce. I know that Georgia defense remembers Pierce because he ran real tough against him, even though it wasn't a lot of carries. So that kind of stood out to me as well. Excited to watch him in the Texans. Another running back, Brian Robinson Jr., which I almost had to take off this list because the unfortunate thing that happened yesterday where he was actually shot twice, and he's okay. Thank God he's okay, and that's the most important thing, that he's gonna play. It sounds like, which is crazy, he's gonna play at some point this season. But I almost had to take him off because how much is he gonna play? And how much are we gonna see of him? But I forget that. I got to put him on this list. I was a big Brian Robinson fan, and I apologize for the graphics guy jacking up his last name, but. Yeah, a big fan out of Alabama. I talked about during the pre-draft process, like, have you ever heard of an underrated Alabama running back? I never thought I'd see the day of that guy existed, but bam, right here, Brian Robinson. He's a tough runner, good vision, underrated catching the ball, and very underrated blocking as well. It almost felt like he was starting to take over. Antonio Gibson, I think, is good. He has some fumbling issues, but I think he's very good. Robinson was starting to take over for him, so that's crazy. When we see him this year, he's going to dominate. He's going to be way better than everyone expected. Maybe not me, because I had a top 5 running back grade on him, so I'm really excited about Brian Robinson Jr. here. Hopefully he gets back soon. Hopefully he's good to go. It sure sounds like he is, which is crazy. He's just built. He's just the man's just a freak, So can't wait to watch him when he's back in action. Another running back, Kyren Williams of the Rams, and we haven't heard anything of Kyren Williams this offseason. The Rams, again, we got the Rams chain here from the Gold Shop. They hooked us up, so. Again, check it out. If your favorite team is the Rams, this one is sick. Actually, I'm a Vikings fan. The Rams one might be my favorite, but they have every NFL team there, so check it out. But Kyren Williams, big-time player at Notre Dame, obviously can catch because he used to be a receiver, could run, and could block. Looks like a smaller running back, but he really could block. And again, we haven't heard much of him during training camp preseason because he was injured for a little bit. Then he's kind of coming back, and we don't see him in preseason. After week 3 of preseason, a couple days ago, Sean McVay was asked, where was the running backs? Where was Kyren Williams? Where was this guy, that guy? And Kyren Williams didn't. Sean McVay said it. Kyren Williams did not play because he's too crucial of a piece to the regular season offense. So, all right, we better watch out now for Kyren Williams. And then Cam Akers dealing with an injury. I'm sure he's going to be okay, but dealing with an injury, had to deal with an injury last year, obviously. And then Darrell Henderson, who has some durability issues, and then he has an injury right now as well. So watch out for Kyren. He's a do-it-all guy. It's a guy that the Rams had to have. He really fits that offense. He's going to be super productive. He's just a big playability guy. We saw it at Notre Dame too. Underrated player. So I'm really excited to watch Kyren Williams in the Rams. We might be seeing him get some good action against the Bills in Week 1, that first game on Thursday night. So really excited about that. So we had some running backs make this list. Talk about what's about an offensive lineman in this one here. Nicholas Petit, FRERE, Ohio State tackle. Went to the Tennessee Titans, obviously, in the 3rd round. Going to play right tackle. He's going to start at right tackle, actually. He thought Dylan Radins maybe would start at that spot. No, Petit FRERE won that job. They really like what they see from him, and he gets the block for Derrick Henry there. So, so that's a good sign that he's starting for a pretty good team, the Tennessee Titans. He beat out a guy who was somewhat of a high draft pick last year. Again, all that is great signs. But then you got to go back and remember, what he did at Ohio State, and he was just dominant at Ohio State. He was being talked about as a future first round prospect for so long, even during the season last year. And I think towards the end of the year, like something happened where he kind of got knocked down a little bit. And I'm still really, maybe he's not the flashiest as some of those other tackles. Maybe that's why, but you're still trying to figure out, what exactly caused it. And, I can very easily see him just being, he's already kind of doing it, winning that starting job. But I can see him being a good player, and then all of us going like, I guess that kind of makes sense. It doesn't make sense that he dropped a little bit, but it kind of makes sense that he was originally, a pretty high sought-out pick there, so a prospect. So interesting, but that's a tackle to watch out for. He's gonna get that. He did get that starting job with the Tennessee Titans. Next up, Malcolm Rodriguez. Rodrigo, if you're watching Hard Knocks, good time there. And Rodriguez, if you're watching Hard Knocks, they're really praising him. Calvin Shepard, their linebacker coach, telling all the other veteran linebackers, like, hey, Rodriguez is playing better than you. He's definitely playing better than you. He's looking like a starter right now, and he's very effective on special teams. That's kind of a bonus there. So that's great to hear the coach say that, to see it in action in practice, in the games. And then the Lions they've been very underwhelming, actually. It's very underwhelming at the linebacker position. So a good player like Rodriguez, who's showing out, should get the job. So, but this is another one that shouldn't be that much of a surprise, because he was so damn good at Oklahoma State. The play on the field, the tape showed that he was a very good linebacker, capable of starting early on in the NFL. Why did he drop? He has very short arms. The arm length, very short. Actually the shortest out of all the linebackers in the NFL right now. And we know how NFL scouts, GMs, coaches overreact from that stuff. If they see this guy, like some coaches are probably like, it's just too short for my liking. And there's some that it's like, yeah, it's the shortest, maybe I would give him a pass, but it's the shortest in the NFL, because the measurables do matter. But if you can play, you can play. Rodriguez can play, and he's going to shock the world this year. I think he'll start for the Detroit Lions, and he'll play some good football. They need some good play from that linebacker position, especially. So I'm rooting for Rodriguez there. A guy that can just play, forget the measurables, and he's athletic too. So it's not like he doesn't have traits or anything like that. So excited about him as well. Excited about all these guys. Sam Williams, who was one of the higher picks maybe from this video, was a 2nd-round pick, but not really talked about a whole lot. But the edge rusher from Ole Miss, if you watch the tape, he was fun to watch. He got after the quarterback. He was a very good, speedy pass rusher with some traits with pass rush moves. Extremely speedy. He had production against SEC competition. So, looking at it that way, I've talked about in the pre-draft process, he looked like a 1st-round pick looking at it that way. So why wasn't he a 1st-round pick? The run defense definitely needs some help. Run defense he can improve. He is an edge guy, though, so he's get after the quarterback first. But then he has had some off-the-field issues in the past, but it seems to be cleared up. So that's great. And then you see him tearing it up in preseason, especially that last game. He just looked like he was everywhere. I don't know. You usually don't see edge rushers that are everywhere because they're on one side of the field. Just, not that he's at all Micah Parsons' talent or, even the versatility of Micah Parsons, but this is what you see with Micah Parsons. Like, this guy's everywhere, Sam Williams, the same thing. It's kind of what it felt like. And on top of that, where they lost Randy Gregory, they're kind of a shortage on not really, they're deep, but a shortage on very solid pass rushers. Micah Parsons, remember, he is, but he's not an all-time, not at all times a pass rusher off the edge. Lawrence has his injury concerns. Says they could use Sam Williams. Not only can they use him, they can play Sam Williams. So, not really talked about enough for somewhat of a high draft pick there. And he, he looked really good in the preseason training camp as well. So excited about Sam Williams as well. I think I'm saying about every single player. I'm excited about all these players. Nick Cross, the safety from the Colts, the high upside guys, got the traits. He had good reps at Maryland at free safety and strong safety. See him in the back end making plays, using his speed, his range, and then underneath attacking the ball, using his speed, flying up, not afraid to hit. So it's like, all right, this guy's kind of all of the above. He had some slip-ups, against some good competition, here and there, but so maybe a little raw. Maybe similar to former Maryland safety Darnell Savage as well. It's like you see the flashes, you see the traits. They're different play styles, so don't get it confused there. Different play style, but a little raw where you've got to work with some things. So that's kind of where we viewed Cross. And the Colts, right off the bat, it sounded like he isn't raw. Like he's ready to go. We're getting the traits out of him right away. Maybe remind us a little Shaq Leonard. Again, he's a linebacker and a safety, two different type of players. But Leonard was a traits guy, but raw, but didn't end up being raw right away. The Colts figured it out, developed him very quickly, got it out of him. Same thing with Cross. He was instantly listed as a starting strong safety, and we'll see him move back to the free at times as well. But that's a great sign. It's a good defense here. Nick Cross is going to ball out. Those safeties that kind of you notice the most and get the most praise are guys that can do a bit of everything. So I think Cross being able to do a bit of both, kind of play almost like a free and like a strong, attack underneath, get his hands in the ball, be a playmaker. All of that is going to just shoot him up the safety rankings and the people's thoughts on safety. So feeling really good about Nick Cross and the Colts, even in his rookie year here. Talk about these three guys. I'm going to talk about undrafted guys as well. But these guys, I thought of this video idea, and I was going to put these guys on the list. But you shouldn't really be shocked when these guys ball out. Is it really? Are they going to shock the NFL if they ball out? Not really. Maybe a little bit. It's not like the Aiden Hutchinson, the Sauce Gardner, maybe the Breece Hall. I'm just giving examples. Those guys are just kind of this too obvious to be even talked about, and I just talked about them in this video. These guys, I don't know if anyone's praising them like that or expecting things like that from these guys, but you really shouldn't be shocked if they ball out, and they are going to ball out. George Karlaftis, looked really good in preseason. He's a first-round pick, so people expect good things from him, but looked really good in preseason. I think he's going to be extremely productive for the Chiefs, more than expected. George Pickens, I think everyone knows about George Pickens at this point. He was a first-round talent all day. He had the injury, and he had the off-the-field issues that slid him back a little bit. Steelers know their receivers. They know how to develop the receivers. He's going to be a stud. We know that. And Jaquan Brisker, second-round pick like Pickens, who I liked a lot, was kind of a flashy type safety that can play strong safety, can play in a box, almost like a weak side linebacker role, put him around the line of scrimmage. But watching the Bears in preseason, it's just kind of what you expect and hope from Brisker, is that he's everywhere. Another one of those guys that is absolutely everywhere, flashy. So these are the guys that shouldn't be that shocking, maybe a little bit, because they're going to ball out. They're going to ball out better, more than people expect. So I'll tell you that. So it might be a little shocking, maybe not, super shocking, because these are kind of big name guys, like I said. And then talk about some undrafted guys. I had 3 undrafted guys, exactly 3 here. And we just talked about a Bears player. We'll talk about another one. I'm blocking his last name, but it's Jack Sanborn, a Wisconsin linebacker who is balled out for the Bears in preseason. And they don't really have anything set in stone besides Roquan Smith. So Sanborn actually could be starting during this year. I know they have Morrow. When they play 3 linebackers, which I think they'll do a lot of nickel, especially under Eberflus, most of the league doing it now. So they'll play a lot of the 2 linebackers, but when they do put 3 in there, I think Sanborn would definitely, and he might be in there when there's 2. But he was another guy that was all over the field, really good in run support as well. So a couple Bears guys that could shock people there. And it's about Kurt Hinish, the Notre Dame defensive tackle. He was solid at Notre Dame, but nothing special. And there was no point that you thought this guy was, he would struggle to make an NFL roster, but he dominated. I started hearing it in training camp. The Texans really like Kurt Hinish. I'm like, oh, okay. And then you see it in preseason in the games, and it's especially that last game against the Niners, he was such a disruptor, constantly causing problems. Not only is this guy making the Texans team, he's going to play a lot. Could he find his way on the field as a starter? He seems to be moving a lot quicker, maybe in better shape than he was at Notre Dame as well. So that's a great sign. That last game against the Niners was insane with him, disrupting every play. And then Lance McCutcheon, who kind of came out of nowhere, the receiver for the Rams, which is tough to make that team because they're really good and deep at receiver, and they might bring OBJ back, but he'll miss time if they do bring him back. But McCutcheon, just got open, caught the ball, made moves after the catch, made big plays after the catch. Like, I don't know what else you want from a receiver. This guy looked legit. Small school guy, so you just didn't really expect it, but he's got to make the team. And the Rams are, the Rams even got Skoranek on the field last year, who was better than expected, and they're trying to get Tutu Atwell, but they're not. My point is, they're not afraid to get these guys in the field. Like, Skoranek was the guy that I didn't really think would be getting on the field for the Los Angeles Rams, the Rams right here. And they got him on the field. So they're going to put this guy, who I think could be better than a guy like Skoranek, on the field because he can make plays. So just some 3 undrafted. We're not expecting an insane amount from undrafted guys, but these are some guys to watch out for. Really caught my eye in preseason. So yeah, really enjoyed making this video. It was a lot of fun here talking about these guys. There'll be some other surprises during the year. Again, shout out to the Gold Shop. For hooking us up with these pendants. They have one for every NFL team. It's real gold, affordable, and I have that 33% off code is linked down below for all that. So check it out. You guys would definitely be interested. Some cool stuff there. But that is going to wrap up this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts. If you have other guys that I didn't mention them in the comments. We're always talking to you guys on Twitter, live news, rumors, updates, a lot going on. It's crazy right now. It's kind of like a mini offseason, mini free agency, more than mini. I think it's extra crazy this year. So, join us for all the content here. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.